All right, Shalom. Before I continue with this lesson, I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. I'm the brother Lawyer, and I teach with the Great Millstone Nashville Camp. Come back with a quick lesson, and this lesson will be entitled, All Nations Know Who We Are. All nations know who we are. The we are so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, and Hispanics. And then you got Israelites that are scattered in all nations that would even look like the clown that's on the screen. You know? And as you see, this is from Mac Studio. And I believe he's a heathen. The guy that's over this channel. I presume, he's of a Hamite nation, which, you know, we know that the sons of Ham are not Israelites. Now you got Israelites that look like Hamites, and the Hamites are the so-called Africans. All right. The majority of the Southern Kingdom are on the West Coast and South Africa. Now, of course, you still got, you know, people in East Africa and so on and so forth. But for the majority, we are in South Africa and West Africa, parts of North Africa, all over. So anyway, so like I got something stuck in my damn teeth. So anyway, this is a video from him. And as you see, it says, Ish people rage as the new truth reveals blacks being the true Israelites left them silenced. And they already knew this. In Salaki, it says, the biblical Israelites are black. They know who we are. Now, not just the so-called Negroes, but the Latinos and Native Americans before, you know, Esau, Edom, and the other nations scattered us around the world. You know, we all had a dark skin tone to us. We all look like so-called Negroes. All 12 tribes of the sons of Jacob, you know, we all look like so-called Negroes. All right. This is before the rape, robbery, and you know, the hardcore slavery. Now, when we was in Egypt and other places over there in Asia where we served captivity before the Romans and Greeks, you know, of course, we probably somewhat still had natural features. But it got worse when Esau, Edom came into power and started implementing his seed. You know, so now we have more of a Spaniard look, like the Northern Kingdom, so-called Latinos and so on and so forth. They have a Spaniard look to them, but they're still Israelites. For a vast majority of our people, they're still Israelites. So let me get this. This is in Lamentations. Lamentations 4, and I think it's 16. Might be wrong. Oh, no, I'm in Ezekiel. Damn, give me 1 second. Lamentations 4. And it's not 16. It talks about their visage. It might be verse 2. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Let's Lamentations 5. I think it is 4 and 16. Give me one. No. Yeah, Lamentations 4 and 8. Salaki, it says right here. Oh, and then the word for black, or to break it down a little bit more, it says blacker than a coal or darker than blackness. And so it says Lamentations 4 and 8. As a matter of fact, let's get verse 8. It says, her Nazarites were purer than snow. They were whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Their polishing was as a sapphire. And so, you know, the word ruddy, when you look up the word ruddy, goes into like a reddish brown. So ruddy literally is brown skin, but you have a red hue to you, like how you have a jasper stone or a sardine stone, which you go into the book of Revelations, it depicts how I believe it's the Heavenly Father and the Son looks. His Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, his name is Yahweh, and the Heavenly Father's name is Yahweh. It depicts how they look, right? So just to get the context of who verse 8 is talking about, this is talking about the Nazarites. It says their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It has become like a stick. So their visage, their outer appearance is dark. They're known for being, dark skin, plain and simple. And this says they're not known in the streets. Here in America, for the longest, we weren't known as being the Hebrew Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, and Hispanics. We wasn't known in the streets, but now it's being recognized. And like how it says in Hosea 1, if I can get it. Salaki, got the wrong book again. All right, Hosea 1. In verse 10, it says, "Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered nor measured. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living God." That's here in America. And it's now being said that we are the sons of the living God. So all these different enemies of ours, it's like it got hiccups. They have come together to what's the Psalm 83? Let's get Psalm 83 because it says that they know who we are. Yeah, they do. And it talks about that in the book of Psalms 83. Psalm 83 and starting in verse 1. "Keep not thou silence, O power. Hold not thy peace and be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel, or Yashar Allah, he is the Prince of God, because that's really how you say Israel, may be no more in remembrance. So let's conquer them and not have them remember that they were Israelites." That's why it talks about they didn't suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. That represents us not being put to rest with knowing who we are. We were dead in these streets. We were dead in these different cities that we were in, calling ourselves blacks or Afro, Latino, Hispanic, Native American, Argentinian, because you do have, that's one of the tribes of Israel. Though you have a lot of Edomites over there, you still have a lot of Israelites over there too. Or I'm Mexican, you know what I'm saying? Puerto Rican, I'm Haitian, Jamaican. No, I'm Nigerian. No, you're an Israelite, So that's what happened. And then it names the enemies. And the first on the list is the Edomites, which that's who this nigga is on the screen. These are the Edomites that converted to Judaism. Psalm 83 and 5, "For they," it says, "confederation against Israel, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites are the Arabs, which those are the closest to relatives of the Israelites." All right, the Edomites, which are the so-called white race today, and then the Ishmaelites, which are the Arabs. Those are the two closest relatives that we have. All right, because the Edomites are brothers, and then the Ishmaelites are cousins, blood cousins. All right, so I could name the rest of the tribes, but for the sake of just naming the one of the chief enemies of the Israelites, they're Amalek. These are the Amalekites. All right, and Amalek is also named in the Confederacy, which these are Amalek. Give me 1 second. All right, so I got something right here real quick. Cause they got I hate saying their name because they like to try to give you a strike or whatever. But the ish on the end of JEW, it means pertaining to or to be like something, but they changed it kinda. So it said the suffix ish has a few meanings depending on the word. It can mean approximately or sort of or like something. That's what it is. Like ish or reddish, like characteristics of like childish, because you're being childlike. So so you're being like unto that, but you're not actually one. If you know what I mean. Like, yeah, you can claim that you a J-ish, but you're not really that people. You're trying to be like them. That's what that's referring to. It says or belonging to a place. It can also stand alone to mean kinda. And this is what really happened. This is what really happened. They converted to being that. Like this Institute of Strategic let's see. Now I don't really Telegram. Really, I don't want to get this. But this is what hold on. Span modern southern Russia, Crimea. I don't even know. It was really a book. It was really a book that I wanted to go into, not this. But this is known as the Kingdom of Khazaria. This is the Kingdom of Khazaria right here. And it says a forgotten empire. A forgotten empire sponsored. I'm not gonna play it. You can read that. Do your own research. Us bros is in the know. For a while, we already know who they are. We already know about the Khazarians. But they converted to Judaism. All right, and so I don't want to get there. It was another book. Where is it at? It was another book. Here, no, well, this is a video, which I seen this video. It says, "Are Ashkenazi ooze the real Khazars?" And they are. That's who they are. They're Edomites. They're Amalek. Right? This the book, Kevin Allen book. As you see the word, the ooze of Khazaria. That's who they are. Now, let's get on the conversion. It says the ruling elite of the Khazars converted to Judaism in the 8th or 9th century CE, driven by geopolitical independence, though the exact scope of the conversion among general population remains uncertain. And in the I believe it's in the Josephus, it talks about them converting. Matter of fact, let me pull something up. All right, so right here, this is from Poston Library of Small Hat Culture and Civilization. All right, so it says the sources of this period span the range of attitudes toward converts to Judaism. The Hellenistic small hat authors Philo and Josephus, right? And Josephus, of course, was an Israelite. It says employ positive and welcoming language when speaking of small. I hate doing this. I'm gonna speak how I fucking want to speak. All right. And welcoming language when speaking of non-Jews who choose to enter the covenant to become members of, and of course they throw that in there, but really they're Israelites, become members of the Jewish people. A similar perspective is found in the ancient Jewish romance Joseph and the Zenith, and I don't want to read that. but it's going into conversion. Let me find something else. All right, that's what I wanted right here. I didn't know which chapter or whatever book that it was in. I spelled Judaism wrong too. Anyway, fuck it. It says in his Jewish Antiquities, book 13, 257 to 258, Josephus records that the Edomites, also known as Idumeans, which is a Greek word of saying, Edom, were forcibly converted to what? Judaism around 110 to 107 BCE. So that's what happened. These are converts, right? It says this campaign was led by the Hasmonean high priest and ruler John Hyrcanus, marking the first recorded instance of forced conversion in its history. It says an ultimatum, Hyrcanus subdued the Idumeans, the Idumean towns of Ador and Maresha. He says he offered the inhabitants a stark choice: undergo circumcision and adapt small hat laws, or leave their ancestral lands. Desiring to stay, the Edomites complied and integrated into the Judean state. Josephus notes that from that point forward, they were hereafter no other than, then boom, Jews. So that's what happened. Salaki is ruled as illegitimate. And Herod was an Edomite himself. It says the rise of Herod, the most famous descendant of these converted Edomites, was King Herod the Great. And so boom, there you have it. That's all that I wanted to pull up. And so that's who these people are. So they don't belong in the land. So right here in Ezekiel 36, Ezekiel 36 and let's see, 6, 5. It says, therefore, thus said the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. So the Edomites have taken over the land of Israel. They became Israelis. Not the ites. They didn't become ites, because that's totally different. To say that you're Israel, that ite means, that's what you are. Like, that's your lineage. Like the Ishmaelites, the Hamites, that they're literally the sons, the direct sons of that family, of the seed line. These people are not. They are the brothers of Jacob. They're the Edomites. Jacob and Esau. That's what it is. So the whole world knows that. Why? Because the Lord got his men out there on the highways and byways, starting with our apostles and elders, telling you who you are. And then certain circumstances happen to where, certain Israelites, they get shown on TV, or certain instances, certain stuff happens. You marching, well, not you marching, but IUIC marching for Nolan Wells, which that's off, but it's all for the Lord's purpose. We're getting His word out, so it ain't no excuse. You were told, and you know who you are. So these people ain't the people. The world knows that, and the Lord is about to take them out of power. So Lord will, this is an edifying lesson, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, Shalom.